you can see, we are doing a couple of raids about sunflowers. We couldn't combine them on the day Mom and Dad tried them.
Well, good morning. Welcome to our complete disaster of a situation. So we combined our sunflowers. We wanted to get them done. It's time to put the combines away. It is what, like the 18th of October. Some years we're still combining up until now, but on a year where you're done and like the third week of September, the combine should be put away by the third week of October. And we just got them put away yesterday. Sunflowers, I don't even understand it. They never did get dry. I was talking to a fella at the grand opening for our local elevator that they just built last year, and he said, we combined our sunflowers like 3 weeks ago. So I don't know if he was pulling my leg or if they just know how to do things a little better. Maybe they had a whole different variety. Actually, it's undeniable they know how to do things a little better. But my 7 acres was a total wreck. 30% moisture. Now, the worst part of this, it's a 500 bushel batch dryer. We got like 200 bushels of sunflowers. So there's a cone inside. There's a chamber inside of this dryer. There's the outside walls, and inside there's basically, if you take what you see and flip it over and make it a little bit smaller and stick it inside, so the cone goes up like that, and the grain circulates around, falls down. Now inside that chamber inside, there's a big fan blowing fire. There's a propane dryer, and the fire heats the grain up. Once the grain gets to around 30 degrees, it starts to release the moisture, and then that big fan that you hear blowing blows the moisture out. If you don't have enough grain to cover that cone that's inside there, all of your heat escapes out the top. So having a bit of a time here with this, probably going to end up burning more propane than it's worth to even do this. But I want to get the sunflowers. I want to get them. I want to get them bagged up. Lots of people were asking about using sunflowers for the chicken feed, for the goat feed, all sorts of things. So one of the reasons why it makes this stuff not cheap. So sunflowers are a long season crop, not commonly grown up here in the Peace Country. Quite a few guys try a bag, which, maybe 5-10 acres worth. They'll plant them out in front of their house or whatever. It's just for a visual appeal for the year, for the growing season. Very few people are successful in actually harvesting them, and this is one of the reasons why. So now if we get an earlier season sunflower next year, might be better. Gonna have to reach out to some people that know how to grow them and find out what they do. Obviously there must be a different variety, different seeding rate, different whatever. We had actually toyed around with swathing them, and I think that actually, believe it or not, might be an option for the Peace Country. You don't want to generally thrash that much of the stalk, but I cut these almost right at the ground, maybe 2-3 inches up from the ground, and combine handled it no problem. So anyways, we'll play this out for a couple more hours. Obviously I can't let it circulate around in there for the whole day and burn, $1,000-$2,000 worth of propane. So we'll have to, one idea I thought I might actually do is go get some canola, go get 100-200 bushels of canola, dump it in with the sunflowers. At least that'll fill the dryer up, and then I'll just clean it after. I'll just separate it out. So that might be what we do yet. All right, well, it's about noon, and about every half an hour here, I've had to unload my dryer and refill it. The reason for that is when I unloaded it this morning, the sunflowers wouldn't even flow down this chute. I actually had to climb up here and keep scraping it away. These ones, you can actually hear them going, so they're getting dry. They're about 10% moisture, dry is 9. But what happens in a batch dryer, if they're not like reasonably dry to start with, they won't flow around. So this is how they work. There's this big chamber in the middle. It's all perforated. Then there's these outer walls. The grain flows around and then it goes up the middle, shoots out either side, and goes back in and flows around again. There's an agitator down in the bottom that goes around, keeps things stirring in. The dryer's got to be fairly level to begin with, or else it doesn't work. And then, like I say, the grain has to be fairly dry to begin with. What's happening with the sunflowers is the ones that aren't dry and are really sticky, as soon as they hit the bottom slope, they stop. So there's only maybe 4 or 5 inches that is actually circulating. Everything against the slope is staying there. So I got to unload it, and then hopefully enough mix is in that when I fill the dryer again, all the dry seeds mix in very well with the wet seeds, and then they allow it to flow. So it's getting quite a bit better. This is the 3rd time I think I've done this already. Probably going to be the last. But yeah, as you can see, it should go down evenly, and there's really piled up on this back side, and it's almost empty on that front side. So that shows you that it's not flowing properly around, and because of that, the grain isn't all moving. Some of it's staying in the same place for half an hour and not moving around. It's also all right to give this auger a workout anyway. So this was the auger that I had bought this year off of a neighbor friend of mine who doesn't farm anymore. It was effectively new. It's just he bought it, whatever it was, 10 years ago. Barely ever used it. So I bought it to fill my dryer. It's an 8-inch. I didn't know if that electric motor would handle, say, a load of wheat, and it won't. So I do got to put a gas motor on it. We had done the flighting, the sump, bearings, everything on this dryer. So it was all ready to go, and then we didn't even use it. So this will be our 6th load. Now this load is a real pain, so it's going to take a while. Probably it'll take as long to dry this 220 bushels of sunflowers as it took to dry all the other 5 loads combined. But hey, we're not gonna lose them. So they're flowing a lot better. Everything's flowing around a lot better, and that's because they're drier. So I assume when I started this, they were around 30% moisture. I just took a sample there now, and they were 11. So everything's getting drier. Everything's working better. This should be the last go around. I had to turn my plenum up to about 260 degrees, which is like cooking hot. That seems to be working though. So another 45 minutes maybe going around in the dryer. I'll probably end up using 5-6% of a 1,000-gallon tank of propane. So there will be no money in the sunflowers this year, but at least we'll have them. So my dad and I are very stubborn that way. Once we make up our mind to do something, it's kind of like cost be damned. We're going to figure it out anyways. So now we know this is possible to do. And it would have been nice to have a whole dryer load. I thought off 7 acres we would have got 500 bushels, but I don't know. Maybe that's not what sunflowers do. Who knows? So this is going good enough. I'm going to go back and fire the heat up, give it another 45 minutes around here, and I bet you by then it'll be dry, and then we'll be able to bag it all up.